Good morning, everyone. We're here this morning to talk about the China games market. I'd like to introduce Jeff Lydon, CEO of iDreamSky.
President.
President?
Yes.
And founder. And
co-founder.
Co-founder, many things.
Yeah.
Exciting company.
Thank you, thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michele Maguire. I have had a long history in the game market, managed the Game Developers Conference, took it to China, where I developed my love of China and the games market. And for many years, I've worked with Niko Partners. Niko Partners is, I would proudly say, the leading market research firm for the China game market, and also has been reporting on Southeast Asia for the last 5 years. So we're here this morning to talk about the mobile market in China. Incredible market. Niko estimates 2.9 billion US in revenue for mobile games this year. Most importantly, that's 93% growth, almost 40% compound annual growth. So right now, looking like in short order, the mobile game market in China will surpass the US market. So tell us a little bit about iDreamSky and this fabulous market you're in.
Yeah, you know, iDreamSky was founded in 2009, and we started doing mobile publishing in 2011 as we see there's a big black hole in China where the market is so fragmented. You know, devices are fragmented, users are fragmented, billing system is fragmented, app store is fragmented. It's just one big mess. And you know, I personally come from a very Western game development background. I have been working in the industry since 2000 on an MMORPG called Shadowbane. And a lot of my Western friends came to me and said, hey, Jeff, you know, I can't get my app distributed in China. I'm used to working with just 2 companies or 3 companies. So, you know, we saw that opportunity and we jumped into the market, and we quickly realized, you know, there's a role for being a publisher. And then quickly we then realized another problem is, you know, the old publishing model, which is purely just, you know, I get your app, I tell you what to do, then put it onto the store. You know, this kind of middleman position is going to be weakened as time goes by. So we reinvented the publishing model, which now we call it more like a post-production, just like the movie in the movie industry, where publisher not only act as a marketing firm or operation firm, it also act as a post-production firm, where we know how to do monetization, where we know how to do localization, where we help you to build your game even better, where we help you to make your game more customized for the Chinese market. And we're trying to replicate that model into now Korea, Japan, and other regions in Asia. So that's a nutshell of iDreamSky. Recently, we launched it, Fruit Ninja WeChat, on the Tencent platform. And that game is a total co-development project between iDreamSky and Heartbreak, where we take up the brand name, we take up the core mechanic of the game, and we rebuild the whole game for the Chinese market. There's a lot of video online that I'm sure is very interesting to see how Fruit Ninja have been redeveloped by iDreamSky for the Chinese market. Mm-hmm. In terms of the market growth, you know, we're seeing very significant growth. In fact, you know, this year we're seeing a much slower pace than we saw in 2013. You know, this year we're looking at a 50% to like 70% growth by any report standard. But last year we're looking at like a 4 times, 5 times growth. Mm-hmm. But you know, as the market starts slowing down, it also means that there's less opportunity in the market. It also means that for you to grasp the opportunity, you need to be much better. You need to be much knowledgeable about the market and know what to do. And that's where we come in and try to help our partners.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the app stores? I think a lot of people in the room probably know, but really an update. It's so different than any Western market. How many app stores do you think estimate to be in China right now?
Well, by our count, there's over 250 app stores.
250?
Yeah, by our count.
By your count, okay. So what's it like for someone in the room? Tell them how you help them navigate a market where they're currently used to dealing with 2 or 3 app stores.
Well, you know, the 250 is a small number, actually. What makes the number even bigger is when you multiply it with the billing system and create the permutation of 30 billing system times 250 app store, then you create a permutation of thousands of combinations. And what iDreamSky do is, we always kind of pride ourselves as the Switzerland in the Chinese
Switzerland.
in the Chinese mobile market, where we make sure that your app get critical mass distribution. Where we work with Tencent, we work with 360, we work with Ali, we work with Baidu. So you never get strong arm into just working on one market segment. The second thing is, we have been in this market since 2011, so we pretty much have built strong relationship with all these partners in China to ensure that your app gets distributed and gets to the right gets to the player's hand, and they can pay in the app and enjoy your game. So that's what we do. We have the technology to do almost everything that you need in China.
So let's talk about the Chinese gamer.
Sure.
Because I think that it's becoming much more evident to the world that there are some different characteristics in China when it comes to gaming. So tell us a little bit about a Chinese gamer. Casual genres, they take the lead, don't they?
Yeah, well, no matter how I classify them, I always use this example. Back in 2010, 11, when FarmVille first came out, it's about you helping your friends to harvest.
Okay.
In China, it's a reverse mechanism. It's about you stealing your friends' vegetables.
You stealing your friends' vegetables. Okay.
That's the nutshell you need to understand Chinese user behavior.
Very competitive.
Very competitive.
Even in the most friendly of games, like
Yes.
Farmville. Okay.
Yes. Even if you're making a social game, it's about competition. It's always about competition. It's always about PK. It's always about PvP. That's the main driver for anything. The main driver for even I was in Korea recently, Tokyo and Korea recently last week, and there's a lot of romance games in Korea and Tokyo, and they were telling me like, oh, this game is about this main character looking for his true love in a world that is being taken over by the ocean. And my product manager came in and said, like, we need to change this. And I'm like, how are we changing it? It should not be about your main character seeking one true love. It should be your main character glorifying himself that I have so many girlfriends or I have so many boyfriends more than you.
So the Korean romance wouldn't play in China. It's got to have a competitive edge.
Yeah, even a female game, even a romance game, is also about like showing off. It's also about competition. It's also about I'm better than you. So that's the main characteristic of difference of Chinese user behavior and Western user behavior. Even if you make it team-based, it's about my team better than your team. Even when you make it guild-based, it's my guild better than your guild.
How about the demographics? Tell us a little bit about the demographic profile of Chinese gamers today,
Yeah.
because I think it's changed really quickly year on year.
So, I think there's the demographic of Chinese user and Western user, there's a big difference, and compared with Japan, there's even bigger difference. In US, gaming really started in the early 80s or even 70s. And in Japan, there's like multi-generation of trading card and console and all that. China really started in 2010. No, 2000, sorry, 2000.
2000, I would say.
I'm
yeah.
getting a real woozy.
Yeah.
2000. So, you can't expect, this is the first generation of gamers.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't play on mobile games in 2000. There were no
there's no mobile, there's no console, there's nothing before 2000, pretty much. So we're at the crisp where, the 2000 generation is having baby. Mm-hmm. They're starting to be more adaptive to their kids playing games.
Okay, so we have children in the market.
Yeah, we start to have real children, like the second generation of gamers. So I think that's a big change, when compared with when I started in the industry in China in 2002, when parents is all about like, you don't play games, you go study. Games is all evil. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing parents is like, you play game responsibly, right? The demographic of Chinese gamers, we were starting to see the Asian gamers group. When back in 2003, 2004, you're looking at the maximum age at like 35, right? 40 is kind of dinosaur already.
Right.
Right now you're seeing those 40 becomes 50, those 35 become 45, right? And the mobile market also activated a lot of the non-gamers, the grandpas, the grandmas. Actually, we're seeing a lot of companies in China trying to tackle the old people market by providing them very casual gameplays that even help them on training their brain or detecting are they having any health issues. So with all that, the demographic of China is very different. You really need to be on the ground, and that's the reason why I always try to invite my partner to come to China, to have a sense, because something just cannot be explained in words. You need to see it yourself, and given you're in China.
Yes, I experienced that. First time was 2003, and so I've watched the game industry in China change dramatically. I agree with you. You don't know it unless you've seen it, and it's important for people to go there and see it. Tell us about spending. What are some of the characteristics? I mean, obviously this market that some thought was never going to be a big mobile spending market is huge and growing so quickly. What are some of the characteristics of the type of spending? Can you differentiate anything for us in terms of how you see spending happening right now, what you predict spending will be as we go on into the next couple of years, and mobile game revenue is going to grow in China, perhaps more than the rest of the world?
The spending behavior is improving over time. We're seeing games, casual game monetize anywhere from 2% to 10%. And the difference that you will see would be mainly because of the channel or the platform you distribute on. Certain channels do have a higher penetration rate, but they have a lower user base. Certain channels have a much bigger user base, but their penetration rate is lower. I think in terms of the ARPU, we're seeing ARPU increasing over time. We see normal casual game ARPU ranging anywhere from $1 to a very blood-sucking casual game can go up to $3 US. And then in certain platforms, we can even see casual games ARPU going up to $10 US. But then the penetration rate is lower. Now, with that being said, I think we're going to look at the market where the casual game, on the average, we're looking at in the next 12 to 18 months, we're looking at an average of around $3 to $4 as being an average standard. $2 to $4 as an average standard, and we're looking at a market where the penetration rate will be somewhere around 7% to 8% to be a good base to base yourself with a casual game. Now with mid-core and hardcore game, we're still in the very early days of that. Numbers are very hard to justify because we see lots of difference in the market. Given our user base, we have over 500 million registered users. We're still seeing a lot of discrepancy where we're not comfortable in even internally making a standard on what we should see in a mid-core and a hardcore game.
Any difference in spending between demographic profiles?
Absolutely.
Men, women, ages?
Well, one thing that always surprised my partners is, you would think that spending will be higher in major city. But the truth is the spending is way higher in lower tier city.
Tier 3, tier 4.
2, tier 3, tier 4 have lots of well. When you find a well in tier 3 or 4, it's really a gigantic monster. I won't call it a well, it's like a monster. When you find a well in the first tier city, yeah, they're wells, or they're maybe like smaller wells. So give you an example, like in a city, by a city standard, in iDreamSky, when we look at the well, a well in a city would be somewhere around $400. That's a well. If you go down to a 4th tier city, then you're looking at a well which is, the standard jumps to around 2,000 to 2,500 US.
Big jump.
Big jump.
And of course, China's all about the numbers.
Yes. And always
the number of people we're going to reach.
You need to always remember is you only would have the well coming in if you have numbers.
I'm sorry?
You will only get the wells if you have numbers. You cannot
only get the wealth if you have numbers, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the wells spend because they want to show off again. So you don't create a bigger stage for them to, you don't create a big enough stage for them to show off. They won't swim into your ocean.
Okay, they won't swim into your ocean.
Yeah.
That's a nice Chinese saying. I like that one. So congratulations on your IPO.
Thank you.
It was pretty dramatic. Alibaba was supposed to do an IPO, and they pulled.
Yep.
There was another one coming out of China that pulled as well. I'm not remembering who it was. And you and your partners decided to IPO anyway.
Yes.
All advice.
Yes. Yeah.
Survived that pretty well.
Yeah, we consider ourselves very lucky, and we're very grateful for having blessed us for many turns. But we also believe hard work is what really drives our company. Since 2011, when we decided to pivot our company into publishing, we moved office like 5 times already. Currently, the company is around 700 people.
700?
Yeah. I still remember when 2011 we started with 4.
So it's a very interesting sector of the market that you're in, really important for this audience because your sole purpose is to help games that are not created in China come into the China market. What are you going to do based on that IPO? What kinds of investments are you making in the company that will differentiate your company from others in the space?
Well, first of all, a slight correction. Our sole purpose is not just to help Western company or foreign company go to China. In fact, we work on helping any company to expand their Chinese market, including domestic companies.
So that's a good question. How many domestic games do you have versus foreign games?
Right now, domestic games is around 15% of our
15%,
of our portfolio, and is compared with last year is around 5%. So we're growing that market share. I think more and more Chinese game developers sees the value of working with a publisher. It's just like if I'm a publisher in US, I would drive a much harder bargaining to talk to a Western developer and say, hey, let me publish your game. Where Western developer, like, I know my market, why do I need you? Other than after the IPO, we're expanding ourselves vertically and horizontally. One thing is we're trying to expand in terms of regional reach. So we've been very focused in China. Now our second focus is going to be Hong Kong and Taiwan. And then after that would probably be somewhere like Tokyo, Japan, and Korea, which many people have seen failures. We try to crack that code. And of course, we always want to be able to even come to the Western market. When we start building iDreamSky, we want to really build a true international game publisher instead of just being like a regional publisher.
Is Southeast Asia on your roadmap?
Southeast Asia is definitely on my roadmap, but it's definitely not on my highest priority list. However, Southeast Asia is very interesting right now, especially places like Thailand, Vietnam. It's becoming a very, very interesting market.
So you'll be watching that.
Yeah.
So I think we probably have time for one last question. I first went to China in 2003, and one of the first meetings I had was with Tencent. And at the time, they had 2 game developers. And the glitterati of the game market in Shanghai said, oh, don't pay attention to them. They don't know anything about game development. How do you compete? Tencent has 50% of the market today.
Well, we work with Tencent.
Okay. Tell us a little about that.
In fact, iDreamSky, we work with every single, I always tell my guys, I'm like, in some way we're enemies and in some way we're friends. Just maintain that equilibrium. And we recently launched a game on WeChat, and that shows how close we are with Tencent.
What game did you launch on WeChat?
Fruit Ninja. So we've been working on that game for almost 10 months with Heartbreak. We first signed the deal last year, and originally we were thinking like we can just launch the game and add some social element to it, but we quickly realized that's not the case. We really need to like reinvent the whole game. Add character system, path system, blade system, character growth. Map system, levels, progression, all that. So we went back into the drawing board and we have a discussion with Heartbreak on whether we're going to do the development or they're going to do the development, and they're like, well, it's Chinese market, so why don't you guys go take the lead? We're like, okay, fine. So we did take the lead, and we start hiring people, and we start working with Heartbreak, and following their creative direction and our own understanding of the market, we created for Ninja WeChat.
I think we're out of time, and may I ask for one question from the audience, or are we all out? Okay, all right, so I'll leave it to you to find Jeff later. Thank you very much, really.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your success.